This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Marquetta Senters from Old Creamery Theatre, mounting a production of a play called Apples in Winter, which opens soon, July 18th.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
And so tell me, Marquetta, this is how are you getting along with the rest of the cast?
Well, the rest of the cast and I have had to have a couple of sit-downs, and thank goodness it's been in the mirror so I can talk to myself since it's a one-person show. So yeah, we're getting along fairly well. Although that one cast member talks to herself an awful lot.
Well, the rest of us have been, trying not to make a big deal out of that.
Yeah, I know.
But so, for those who aren't familiar with the show, tell me a little bit about it. I don't know how far. How far do you want to go without?
Well, I can tell you the backstory of it a little bit
because there is a there's a little bit there are a couple of twists in there that we don't want to give away. But knowing the
apples are involved.
There are apples,
and it is winter.
Okay,
these are all truthful things.
Are you baking your own pie?
I bake a pie.
Okay,
a real pie on stage. Now, the backstory of Apples in Winter is that this is the fourth or fifth production of this. This was produced first at Riverside 2 years ago. It was written by Jennifer Fawcett, her husband, Sean Christopher Lewis, and she were at Riverside, still at Riverside at the time. And so they produced it, and Sean had directed me in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf at OCTC and asked me if I wanted to do this show. I read the script and couldn't get on email fast enough to go, yes, please. And the excitement of it is that as a friend of mine said, I said the words out loud for the first time for an audience. And so that was exciting. It was a really challenging project because it's new. And so the playwright, Jennifer, and the director, Beth, we were working on it and continually changing it, fine-tuning. Jennifer would change things because I, for some reason, would say it incorrectly. And she goes, no, I'll change it. That's fine. You're finding what you need to say. So it had, I think, a 3-week run at Riverside. Sean McCall, artistic director at Old Creamery, and a group of actors came to see it. And then this season, the 2019 season, hadn't even been picked yet, and he came up to me and said, would you want to do Apples in Winter in our new VIP, very intimate performance setting? And I said, again, couldn't say it fast enough, yes. I love the fact that we have our new quote-unquote studio stage where you are sitting on the stage in tiered seating, comfortable seats like we used to have in our old black box. But I'm as close to you as 3 feet.
And this is, so what you've done is you've reconfigured your main stage.
Exactly. It's not a separate building.
Right.
You come to the Old Creamery Theatre main stage, and the beautiful thing is there's a ramp to get you up on stage, and it's general seating, so you come and have a seat. And the show is just me. I'm telling you about my relationship with my son, and this relationship has been fraught with a lot of difficulties, but also a lot of wonderful memories that she's able to recall to you about his childhood and her memories of that. And the beautiful part of this writing is, what Jennifer has done, is that there's this mixture of humor, and David Combs is directing me in this time, and he's been so wonderful in finding those even more moments of lightness, and which is necessary because the end result in the show is, yes, I make a pie. I make a 6-inch pie because it's just for my son to have. And what that pie means to me and the process of making it. And when it's finished, where does that leave Miriam, my character, and her son? It gives voice to a population that has not had a voice. In the talkbacks at Riverside, that was very important because we had formerly incarcerated, mostly men, come and see the show, and we're going to have that again at the Old Creamery, which to have involvement is so important, and what I love about the studio series and about this play, because it gives mothers a chance to talk. It gives families a chance to talk about what incarceration means to them.
Without spoiling the journey.
Yeah.
I mean, what we can say is that this pie that Miriam is baking is going to be the last pie her son ever gets to eat.
Right. Yeah.
And
right.
so
right,
all
and
of-
what the implications that means for her as well. And you start from the very beginning. And I must say that one of the best offshoots of making a pie every time at rehearsal is that when we're done, the show runs an hour and 20 minutes, so there is no intermission. And I'm told, because I can't smell it, is that you can smell the pie baking. And David has encouraged me to be very fluid with when I'm adding the cinnamon nutmeg. So I'm throwing cinnamon dust on everyone. So you can really smell it, and you can smell the pie baking when I open the oven to check on it. And so we have been lucky enough to be able to, we demolish the pie when we're having notes after the rehearsal. You start with the crust, because the crust is by far the best. Dip it in that wonderful juice. And we have yet to not do that. So what my hope is that there are a couple pies that are already called for, because I know people are coming to see the show, but I'm hoping that it will never go to waste, because that would be a darn shame.
Now, you talked a little bit about originating the show some years ago at Riverside Theatre.
Right.
So tell me how this has the script morphed a little bit even since you saw it last? I mean, tell me about the difference. So you were very involved in getting it on stage for the first time, and now it's kind of done.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is when you're writing a new play, and Jennifer was able to get this in the rolling production. She was given a grant to be able to do this.
The rolling premiere, where it is done at several
different
theaters.
Sized,
they're all called a premiere.
Right, and Riverside is part of that segment of theaters that are able to do this. And Beth, who was the director from Cincinnati, it was part of that. This show has had at least, including Riverside's, 3 or 4 separate productions. It went to Minneapolis, then went to the East Coast. So when I realized I was going to do it again, the first thing I did was ask Jennifer to send me the changes that had been incorporated. And I would say maybe 4 full sentences were added, and then minor words. Mm-hmm. So it was very heartening for relearning it, because you know it, but you have to relearn it. You have to plug it in, and to be able to incorporate those new lines as well, because that changes the intent and the tempo and the intensity and all of that. But those were definitely lines that I felt made things much clearer and were great for me as an actor, because they were additional pennies that were dropping in for me as the story. So it's exciting. And like I said, when you're working on a piece for the first time, because this isn't the first time I've worked on an original piece, it is as a sole cast person. But the exciting part is that every day, every rehearsal time, you sit and you can discuss. That's what it's for. What is the main idea of this story, and how are we going to get across? And what actors don't have this relished possibility all the time to talk to the playwright, whose words you're going to say, and say, what did you mean? What do you mean? What do you want me to mean? What is it? This is my idea about Miriam. What is your idea? And I love the genesis of this idea, because her husband, Sean Christopher Lewis, has done a lot of one-person shows about incarceration and how that affects everyone involved. And she tells the story that Sean came home after doing some research in a facility, and she said, well, how was it? And he said, well, it's okay, but I ran into this woman who was gathering food for, a food drive. And so they started talking, and she said, "Yeah, I have one woman that wanted to contribute." And she said, "Well, she was making a meal for her son, and that he was incarcerated, and that is the germ of the idea for Apples in Winter, how this incarceration and the implications of that, how that falls upon the family and society." And it can't be more timely today than if it were written just this morning. It talks about how we as a society approach how we are going to hold people to justice, what is justice, and how it affects everyone. So it's a wonderful.
We've gotten kind of deep here, and
yes.
But the play obviously has a lot of depthness of
absolutely,
emotion.
Absolutely.
But there are also a lot of light moments.
Absolutely.
As well.
I talk about within the first 15 seconds. No, you must use butter for your crust, for it is the best. And lard and vegetable shortening, that just doesn't cut it in my house, because we always have dessert. Because I like to end with something sweet. And so she gives you not only a tutorial. I've watched Martha Stewart, and when she starts talking about how you just want to chunk the butter and not mix it and keep things cold, I just sit there smiling going, I know that. I know what Martha Stewart's talking about. And when she talks about different apples, we have experimented with different kinds of apples. And it's like, well, no, these apples are too big now because, Honeycrisp can be as big as your head. And no, we need to have them be small and so it's been a wonderful journey. Again, it's a beautiful piece. It has lightness and levity. Like I said before, David Combs, if you know him at all from his work here in the area, he is a master. And I have learned so much from him working on this. I couldn't ask for a better experience. And I want to share that with a lot of people.
The play is Apples in Winter
Yes.
at the Old Creamery Theatre, opening July 18th and running how long?
Through the 28th. It runs Thursday through Sunday at the Old Creamery Theatre, main stage. Thursday and Sunday are at 2 o'clock, and Friday and Saturday are at 7:30.
So just 2 weekends.
Yes.
But an opportunity to
Yes.
get up close and personal and smell the cinnamon.
Oh, yeah, smell the pie.
Marquetta, thanks so much for being here.
Thank
Good
you
luck
for
with it.
having
It's
me,
just it's a delightful piece, and I'm so happy that you've got a chance to tackle it again.
Thank you very much.
If people want tickets, they can visit the Old Creamery website, which is
Old Creamery Theatre, oldcreamery.com. And 1-622-6262. You can talk to a box office person. Go online, get your tickets yourself, and come on and see us.
Okay. Thanks, Marquetta.
Thank you, Dennis.
You can hear the Culture Crawl most Thursdays and Fridays at 10:20 a.m. or watch the video podcast. Sorry, we can't let you smell the cinnamon of the right now, but you can see Marquetta and hear her talk about the show using your favorite podcast catcher or at kcck.org/culture. I'm Dennis Green.